As I go to start this final step, I'm going to have all of my worksheets next to me. These are great aids in knowing how to blend, what textures I want, or even just the color I need to match. In fact, this worksheet here is probably going to be my best friend during this process, and I'm going to keep it close by, along with my photo that has the grid on it. For example, I might be able to match up and see that certain colors in certain areas and know how to mix them. These will be next to me the entire time I'm working, even if they end up off screen just because of the way my camera is. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and erase my grid, leaving only the drawing behind that I need in order to do this actual project. So I will go ahead and quickly erase my grid, and it shouldn't take me long considering there are only 4 lines across. But I'm going to be careful when I do this to make sure that I don't accidentally erase something that I need for the next step. I have gone ahead and sped up the remainder of this video to 10 times the original speed. I want you to get an idea of how I quickly map in and assess my areas of color. As I map in my colors, this is a lot of the stuff that I did in the step before. If I took the time to draw by the grid, then I don't have as much to work with or to work on at this point. You're also going to notice that sometimes I just map this in with base colors because I don't want them to get lost. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to start blending colors. When I have the finished product, it should never be a color that is straight out of the box. All of these colors need to be blended in some way. It is not going to be a flat white. It is not going to be a plain blue. Instead, some of these colors are going to morph from a darker blue to a lighter blue. I'm going to mix colors together. I'm not going to rely on black and white to do all of my work. In fact, I barely use any black in this entire work because the black of the paper can show through and help create that value, but also black tends to flatten art and make things look dull. People tend to think that as they're learning art techniques, they need black to make something a darker value. But as we explored in our worksheets leading up to this assignment, we know other colors can help make a value darker. So for example, on these red areas I'm working on, I can use browns and blues to create a darker red and not have to rely on black. I'm also going to look at things like my yellow. I can use red to make my yellow darker, so I don't have to rely on that. Also, it's important to understand that some of these colors are changing because they're on the black this time and not on the white like we practiced originally. I am definitely going to have to make some corrections because of that. I'm also not afraid to let some of these colors be big, bold strokes. As we work in art, it's really important to remember that you need to step away from your art from time to time. We get so stuck in this little perception of this is what something looks like, or this is the color, or this is the value, that when we step away from it, we realize, you know what? You can't tell it from a distance anyway, it was too subtle. So it's always good to take time away from your art. Also notice that I flipped my painting upside down. When I decided to do this, it was mostly because I didn't want to have my hand dragging through the oil pastel. I also flipped my drawing upside down so that I kept everything in the same placement. It's abstracted in this way that my brain is just working on colors and patterns. I don't have to worry about those shapes because we know that we've already done them before, as we've already addressed. Another thing I want to point out is that look at my white in the background. I added yellows to it to make it kind of creamy colored. Nothing on this drawing is the color of the box. That's really important. I'm mixing every color and trying to create the same similar textures and values that I see in the actual photograph that I'm working from, even though it is becoming abstracted. As I'm finishing this up, you'll notice I'm just putting in my touches on this green area. I don't want it to look like it's flat. I'm adding a lot of colors and values from yellows, whites, blues, and browns to make it far more interesting than a flat value. Lastly, notice because it's an abstract work, I could hang it in any direction if I were to choose.